Hello, everyone. As you're coming in, welcome, welcome, welcome. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. So if you were looking for a Future Careers in Tech virtual panel, then you're in the right place. So if you could just hold on with us for a few minutes, and then we will get started around 6 o'clock or 6:01 East Coast time. Thank you all for joining us. Feel free to make use of our chat and our Q&A box, even as we are getting started. Feel free to introduce yourselves in that chat box as well. Feel free to introduce yourself, who you are, where you're viewing us from. Awesome. I see some people posting in the chat. Welcome, welcome, welcome from wherever you are. All right, so it's about 6:01 now, so we are going to get started. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to this virtual panel for Future Careers in Tech, brought to you by the TGR Foundation. We are so excited to have you guys joining us in this amazing panel to talk about future careers in the tech industry. So I am looking forward to hearing all that they have to share with you guys, and also getting some of your questions in there and exploring these opportunities with you all. This, just so you know, will be recorded and posted to our YouTube channel once this is over. So look forward to that in the short coming future. So as we get started, we just want to go over some of our digital community guidelines. One, use the Q&A box. This is your playground. Ask whatever questions you have to our panelists, to our community, and we will definitely be sure to respond and keep that conversation going as we are communicating back and forth. Also, feel free to use the chat box just for any general thoughts or feedback. Give them, your thoughts or your encouragement if you agree with something. If you really like what they said, there's a great opportunity to just build community in our chats. Also, we just want to maintain a respectful and collaborative environment. We highly encourage everyone to be participative, but we also want to make sure that we're being respectful and acknowledging the hard work that all of the community, TGR Foundation, and our panelists have put into putting this together. So thank you so much in advance for following these community guidelines. So as we get started, my name is Jessica Kessler. I am going to be your moderator for today. I am a professional development facilitator for the TGR Foundation. Prior to joining the TGR Foundation, I was an educator for K-12 education in Philadelphia. My background is in chemistry as well as educational leadership and secondary education. Joining the foundation, I'm a part of a team that provides professional development to educators to bring the best STEM education possible to our students as low as elementary school all the way up through high school and beyond. So I'm super excited to be here with you guys today and to moderate for you and bring you this amazing group of panelists. So as I move forward, you're going to see me snapping a lot. This is just giving some agreement, some encouragement to our panelists. You're also going to show a sprinkler of good vibes as energy as we're going through this panel. So feel free to join in with me. We love feeling that energy. Feel free to pop those emojis or those comments in the chat so we can continue to see those as well. And now I'm going to introduce you to our amazing panelists as they share with us a brief, probably 60-second intro to who they are and their background. I'm going to start off with Ki Lee, who is with Kiswe and is the Chief Monetization Officer. Ki, feel free to unmute and share a little bit about yourself.
Great. Great to be here with everybody. Yes, I'm the CMO of Kiswe. We're a live streaming technology, and so I'm lucky to work with bands like BTS, the big K-pop band, with the NBA. We work with Major League Soccer and a lot of different sports leagues. And I spent 10 years at Google. I'm on my 6th startup. We sold a couple along the way. And the most interesting thing is I actually have a pharmacy degree, but I never practiced. I never got licensed. And so the reality is, no matter what your degree is, there's so many different things that you can pursue in life.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Key. Snaps for Key. Next, we have Mai Nguyen, and she is our Earlwood Scholars alum, as well as a software engineer at Laserfiche. So go ahead, Mai, introduce yourself.
Thank you. Greetings from Orange County, California. My name is Mai, and I'm a software engineer at Laserfiche. I've been with the company for 1.5 years. Prior to that, I graduated from Pittsburgh College, part of the Claremont Consortium, with a math degree. And I've also interned as a data science for MasterCard out in St. Louis, Missouri. Yeah, so my work pretty much, I create web applications for the sales and orders team to make their orders and to send out products to our customers. So a lot of my work deals with internal, helps out with internal teams, and it's been an amazing journey so far.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Mai. And next we have James Seaboyer with HB Studios, and he is the CEO. So feel free to tell us a little bit about yourself, James.
Great. Thanks, Jessica. So yes, I'm James. I'm from HB Studios out of Nova Scotia, Canada. I'll tell you a little bit about my corner of the tech world. Our company has been in existence since 2000, and our expertise is in making sports games for consoles and for PC. We do all aspects of game development, so design, engineering, art, animation, audio, all those pieces. And so as part of my role as CEO, but also in my former role as producer, is to get all these groups aligned, inspired, and driving towards the same goal. The video game industry blends creativity, storytelling, and technical innovation to create experiences that are rich and immersive. So the landscape is always changing. Players want new experiences, and the steep competition drives that innovation that I just mentioned. This industry is probably one of the most turbulent that under the tech umbrella, as projects can be canceled, creative vision can change quite drastically, quite quickly, and the issue of overtime and excessive crunch, hangs over this industry. Quickly, just when engineers are applying for a job at HB, we have them do a test as well as an interview. And in our case, coding language is important, C# for our games, C++ for our engine. And on the test, the ability to show your work and how you arrived at a solution is sometimes just as important as to whether or not you actually got the question right. Participation in things like game jams and having hobby projects are both really positive things, and a passion for games is obviously important to us as well. Having researched our studio, games we've made, geographical area we're in, these are important. These show that you've done research, and then you care about the company and the place and our culture, and having a sense of that is important when doing an interview. So I'll get the chance in a little bit to talk about what brought me to my current position, but for now I'll yield back and turn the mic back over to our amazing moderator, Jess.
Thanks, James, and snaps to you. Awesome stuff. And lastly, but surely not least, we have Jerry Youshizu, Executive Director of Marketing and Communications at Genesis Motor America. So feel free to start sharing out a little bit about yourself, Jerry.
Hi, everybody. My background, just to let you know, is I started out as a database programmer. So I know that the topic is tech. So you never know where you're going to end up. So I went from database programming to internet marketing to social media marketing to a wide range of lifestyle marketing, all in automotive. And I ended up here as executive director of marketing communications through all the relationships that I networked over time. So that's just as important as knowing your tech. And what I've done is I've created a strategy that is solely in digital with the sprinkling of PR. But my main goal is to be immersed in data, to track customers, to attract customers, to bring them through the purchase funnel, and to have them purchase vehicles. So marketing and communications, a lot of people think it's very easy. It's very science-based with a bit of intuition. And so what I've done over time in my career is I've been able to basically take what people desire, what people look for in pop culture, and blend that with technology, whether it's how people are consuming media, or even following these people through new technology that exists because of all these platforms that exist out there, whether it's ad platforms to social media. So you can ask me as many questions as you want. I've had a very interesting and diverse path to where I am today. But like you guys, I started at the ground, which was based purely in technology. So that's my background.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jerry. And I cannot wait to hear more from our entire panel. I know they can't see you, but if you could type in the chat some snaps or some good vibes for these amazing panelists and all that they bring to the table today. I'm going to stop sharing now, but I also want to just shout out everyone who's in the chat right now. We have people from California, Virginia. I saw some Massachusetts, some Boston, some New York. And so we have a wide variety of participants with us now. So as I stop sharing my screen, you should see us all kind of sitting at a round table. Imagine we're all at dinner table together and we just want to talk about some tech career field. And we're going to get that conversation started right now. So through this process, I'm just going to ask a few questions and I'm going to target them to our specific panelists. And then we'll have an opportunity to go into a Q&A and hear from you guys who are viewing what questions that you also have for our panelists. So to get us started, I would love to hear, what has led you to your current position? I'm going to ask James to get us started, and then Jerry, if you can hop in right after him and let us know, how'd you get here? What led you to your current position?
Sure thing. Thanks, Jeff. So my path to my career in the tech industry, the video game industry, has had some unique details, I guess. I studied my undergrad in science and got a degree in biology. Not hugely applicable to tech or the video game industry, as you can imagine. I mean, maybe a little bit now that there's a pandemic going on. But my time at university helped me learn to apply myself to be able to research, to communicate, and to work as part of a team. So those were obviously valuable skills in really any career that I wanted to pursue. But it was my passion for sports and for sports video games and my leadership abilities, which stood out to my would-be employer and got me hired at a base position as an assistant producer. I kept progressing through the production career path because I loved being at the center of a production, balancing between our teams, our partners, and our players. And so personally, I believe that part of my success has come from that determination and passion to understand the people that I work with and what players and consumers want, and then pulling the best out of the team members that I have around me to achieve that goal. And so, for me, you can never be expected to know everything, even in your field, but it's paramount that you know the right questions to ask. And so that's, a snippet of what's led me to my current position through production and up to CEO of the company.
Awesome, Jerry, hop on in there.
So I got here because of my desire to problem solve and constantly learn. So when I started off as a database programmer, which sounds very dry and routine, it was, and I'm going to date myself. So I was learning COBOL, and that led to Java, and then that led to HTML, and then everything changed so that every platform became visual. So if I didn't have this desire to constantly learn, like I've taught myself how to knit and how to sew, like learned how to do anything that I wanted, if it really is that desire to keep learning. And I think in the world of tech, and James, you could probably agree that it changes all the time. So if you have that desire to keep learning, then you're going to evolve with whatever industry. And I happen to get into automotive, even though that wasn't my first choice. I got into automotive out of luck, and I just continued to excel. I guess if you're a tech person and you're in a non-tech business, you open up a lot of doors for yourself. But essentially the way I got here is just the constant desire to learn new things and problem solve. So
I love that, James. I think you can agree because of biology background, right? In science, that's what you do. You problem solve. You're constantly, you know, hustling for learning. So I love how those two things kind of come together for both of you, that constant desire to learn. So with that in mind, thinking about what advice would you have for students who would want to pursue careers in the tech field? And I'm going to open this up to Key, if you could start us off, and then Mai, you can kind of jump in behind him. You know, what advice do you have for people who want to pursue this career, maybe not know how to go about it?
Oh, there I am. Sorry. Hey there. I think the best advice I can give in terms of pursuing a tech career is really networking hard. You know, when you really think about what everybody does the same thing. They look at job boards, they'll submit resumes. You know, I've hired, when I was at Google for 10 years, I hired hundreds of people, hundreds, all different types of roles. And what I've come to realize, and the data supports this, that most people get jobs through networks, you know, not necessarily because of a job board. Actually, it's a smaller percentage of people who are actually getting jobs through different job boards. So I think it's really important just for your career, not just for your career, but also for other pursuits in life, to continually meet people. And the first step to networking is just saying hello. You know, it's amazing how shy people are, but I can honestly tell you, I've have created companies because I said hello to someone at a random place. And, you know, we now have this multi-million-dollar company. And just by, you know, reaching out to people, by doing that extra effort of creating that network, you're going to create your own opportunities. I really believe that. I would say all of my jobs that I've had in my career were all because of networks. You know, a good example is that I said earlier, I did 6 startups. My very first startup was a failure. You know, after 11 months, it folded. I only had 1 month of money left to, you know, pay rent and eat. But I maintained great friendships from that, you know, experience from the failed startup. And what happened was, someone at that failed startup that I worked at, that person ended up going to Google, and that person opened up the door for me at Google. So I think it's critically important to just continually meet people within the industry that you want to pursue, develop friendships. And like I said, I was a pharmacist, technically a pharmacist by degree, never practiced. I wanted to pursue technology. You know, I took a lesser paying job, a smaller role, but it was my entry point into the world of technology. So it requires, you know, taking some sacrifices, whether it's financially or in position. But I think the most important thing is continually network, continually meet people, have a story. That's the other thing. You know, people always ask me, like, how do you network? And I think the most important thing is, like, have your own story, have your own brand, because what I've discovered is people want to help you, but they can't help you if you don't have a story. And if you have your own personal story, people are willing to help. And I would say so many conversations, even today, you know, in the world I live in, when I tell them what I'm doing, it always ends with, oh, wait, let me introduce you to so-and-so. Let me introduce you to that person. So my best advice is to just really network and have a story and be very open to meeting different people and maintain strong relationships along the way, because it's those relationships that may open doors for you.
I love that, Key. I love how also in your story you kind of bring out the idea that failure is a part of the process. Like, you've been a part of 6 startups, and relationships that you've built in each one of those have kind of led to the next success. So I think that's important for students to understand. Like, it's okay if something doesn't work out the way you think it should, because there's always that next opportunity, as long as you keep those connections, keep working hard and doing that kind of thing. So I love that.
Yeah, and the one last thing I'll say is, like I said, after my first startup, it failed, and I only had 1 month of money left to survive. I made it a full-time job to find a job when I was unemployed, and that's very important. You can't, if you're going to seek a new industry or seek a new ambition, you have to make it a full-time job to pursue it. So if you half-ass things, then you're not going to have great results. But if you're really focused on it, you'll have great results. And I really believe that. And I've seen it in my own life, and I've seen it with so many other friends' lives.
That's amazing. That's good advice for students, not even just for their careers, but also looking for scholarships, right? Looking for grants. You have to treat those things like full-time jobs and constantly keep it going in order to make the most out of it. So thank you for that. Mai, feel free to jump on in and give your advice.
Thank you. I 100% agree with Key. But as a new grad, I drew out 4 steps that you can take during your college career or your high school career that can help you nail a job in tech. So the first being that take your foundational computer science courses. If it's too challenging, 1 or 2 would do. I feel that these classes really help you develop your problem solving skills and your pattern searching skills, which is useful for you to pick up any other languages. Second is talk to your teachers. Your professors will know a lot about the conferences that are around and the career fairs that are around. And a lot of these times the conferences aims to increase diversity. So they give out a lot of scholarships for women in tech or people of color in tech. And again, go to the career fairs. These are the places that you'll be able to network with people. And I landed my first job by talking to a recruiter, and he liked me so much that he jumped me to the front and landed an interview directly with the company. And then thirdly, do your research. There's a lot of resources online, such as LeetCode, and there is books such as Prepping for the Interview that you can study. And I find these really helpful with prepping for those interviews that James mentioned earlier. And lastly, if you're not sure which sector to go into, always just combine your interests with tech, as this industry field on creativity. So there'll always be something for you to do in the tech industry. And yeah.
Awesome, Mai. Thank you so much. I love that last point too. Like, there's always something for you to do in this industry because it connects to so many different areas, right? And even in this panel, we have so many different backgrounds, and yet all of you are in some area of tech. So that's an amazing example of all that students can get into, which is awesome. I had some comments in the chat that really are connecting with you guys. Like, networking is often undervalued and it can be super useful. Oh yeah, this was just a reminder. Yes, please ask questions in the Q&A as we go, so we can pull those out in just a few minutes after we get through the next few questions. So moving on to the next question, what do you believe tech will look like in the next 3 to 5 years? And I know that's kind of a big question because there's always evolution in technology, but just from your perspective, what do you think it will look like in 3 to 5 years? And I'm going to throw this to Key to start again, and then Jerry, if you can jump in after him.
Okay. If I knew what was going to happen in 3 to 5 years, I would be really rich in 3 to 5 years. But I think we could see what trends are occurring. One, I think in broad strokes, I think a lot of technology, there's different types of technologies, right? And I think in the world I live in, one of the big things is making our lives easier, right? So I think, whether it's like personal virtual assistants, you look at what Google does and a lot of these other platforms, they develop features to make your life easier, even things like calendaring and, so a lot of stuff is going to be based on artificial intelligence, machine learning, because that's where a lot of investment is with the Googles of the world, the Amazons of the world, because computing is accelerating, and it's going to ultimately make our lives easier because the technology is much more intelligent. I think there's a massive opportunity in healthcare. I think healthcare is 18% of GDP, might be more now, but there's so many areas of healthcare that can be disrupted. I think there's with technology, it allows for creating your own personal brands, right? So, when you think about technology generally solves a problem, right? That needs to be disrupted or solved for. But then you've got things like Snapchat, which is now a $100 billion company. And I had no idea that, I would have never guessed 10 years ago that, videos that disappear in 24 hours would become a $100 billion company, which is unbelievable. So, like I said, if I knew, I would have made a ton of money off of Snapchat or something like that. And we've, listen, there's so many opportunities. I remember when I was at Google, I remember talking to the chief business officer, and I asked him, it was a day after Facebook purchased Instagram. And I said, why didn't we buy Instagram? And, his, I shouldn't give away the answer, but, he said, we looked at it, we kicked the tires around and we decided to skip on it. But the reality is it became an amazing platform. So even the smartest people in technology, they make mistakes, they overlook things. So I would say there's so many opportunities where it's healthcare, automotive. I remember working with General Motors back in my Google days and trying to figure out how to implement Android, into cars. And today it's pervasive. So is iOS. So there's so many. The beauty is this: technology is just a growth industry, and I always advise people to enter into growth industries because it just means there's going to be more opportunities, more jobs. So, I would say there's just so many opportunities in the next 3 to 5 years. There's not enough engineers. There's not enough data scientists. There's just not enough people. Yeah.
Awesome. Great insight. Great crystal ball reading. Jerry, do you want to hop in there as well? Oh, you're on mute. There you go.
Sorry about that. Okay. I guess with the administration change, which just happened, I see that there's going to be a lot of social media regulation coming down the pipe. I know that I don't know how much news that students consume these days, but there's a lot going on in voices, whether they're on all ends of the spectrum, and with regulation comes with regulation comes a lot of new rules and fines and things like that. So social media is going to be under a lot of scrutiny, and I think the algorithms are out of control. I think they've gotten to the point now where you only see what your bubble is, and that has caused a lot of problems over the last couple of years. So I think that's one thing that's going to happen is the crackdown. I know that TikTok has seen a massive growth spurt. And there have been a lot of naysayers about TikTok. However, the business model that TikTok is adopting is extremely aggressive in tech, data, and really rebuilding the social media platform. So they're just operating under different business rules right now. I think it's not negative. It's just that they're approaching things totally different. So their gains in the advertising marketplace is going to explode. So I know that's an area. But as far as technology, I agree. There is going to be automation, artificial intelligence, etc. All that's happening. It's just who's going to be the best marketer. I think that's who's going to win, unfortunately. You can have the best idea, but if no one knows about it, it doesn't really matter. So it's a machine. The marketing machine is going to continue to generate a lot of revenue. And it's what technology will have a brand anchoring it then, and then taking over everything. And then we have, a whole new wave of change. So yeah, I wish I could see what was going to happen in 3 to 5 years too. I'd be a billionaire. So definitely don't ask me. I'm not a billionaire. So
I think you guys have given some great starting points though for our students to kind of look into and keep watching those trends over time to kind of see, social media. We know our students are in there constantly. So that's an opportunity, instead of always participating in it by doing a video on TikTok, why don't you take a look at the back channels and really start investigating how they're operating and some of their trends. And I think that's just a good scope for our students to think about nowadays is the social media aspect, the medical fields, the automotive fields. We're in these all the time, but we're participating instead of, taking the outsider perspective. So I think that's a great start for our students to kind of explore. So final question in this particular section, and then we're going to go into the Q&A. I saw some questions pop up in there, but I'd just love to hear some closing thoughts / inspirational comments or whatever words of wisdom that you want to share. And I'm going to leave this to James and Mai. What can you just share with us to keep us inspired about this tech career industry? Even if it's what do you love about it, or what can you offer for our students to get them pumped up for tech careers?
Mai, why don't you go ahead? You can take the lead.
Thank you, James. So there's a saying that goes by shoot for the moon, and if you miss, you'll be among the stars. And this is 100% true in my case. I was a math major and I took that leap of faith and applied for a software engineering job. It was very intimidating, and as much as I tried to prep for it, there's always this like imposter syndrome that just kind of sits in me throughout the whole time. But ultimately at the end, it was very worth it because with just from my job so far, I've learned a lot about what the tech field has to offer, and I've also developed my skill set so that if I ever want to, integrate my skill sets in any other industry, I feel like it would be a feasible transition. And as you can see from the panelists, like everyone came from different majors, different fields. So, you don't have to necessarily start off as a computer science major to pursue tech. You can be from any other major and pursue tech. And that's the beauty of the tech industry. It's very flexible, and it, it fuels on creativity. So the higher risk you take, the more rewarding the outcome will be. So just have fun with it. I mean, you're still so young. So just pursue your dream and you'll see the results in like 10 years or so.
I love that. Thanks, Mai.
Okay, I'll pick up from there. I think for me, I'll start by dovetailing into what Key was talking about in terms of networking, but the way I'll frame it is engagement. And it comes back, I think Maya was talking about talking to your teachers and talking to your classmates, and as you get jobs, your managers, the clients or partners that you work with, and the relationships that you form there, you can learn something from everyone. The people that are around you, you're going to find that people are really good at least one thing. Can you learn from them about their success, how they achieve that success, or pulling that information from them? So being a sponge as much as you can, and you can't do that if you don't engage with those people. And so, it's not just networking, but it's forming professional relationships built on respect with those people. One of the things that I've seen so many times in just my company, and the people who are able to fast track their careers, whether that's progressing up the single track that they're in, or shifting different lanes into different roles within our company, it's the ones who have sought out the leaders within their teams or within the company to talk to them about their path, their understanding of the opportunity for growth in their field, and what they're interested in, and what their opportunities are within the company for that thing, and can they transition over to something else? Can they take an opportunity to job shadow somebody? It's like 90% of the time, the answer to almost all those questions is yes, and here, I'll connect you with somebody else that can help you explore that. And if the company you're working for is not interested in helping you with that, then that's probably a sign that the company culture may not be a good fit for you as well. It can be a red flag. So it's all about asking good questions. So what do I mean by that? Well, do the base level of research so that you come kind of prepared for a discussion. And then, retaining that information and not making somebody explain it to you a bunch of times, like over and over again. There's some small things in terms of maintaining and building a professional relationship, but they're so huge in that incremental progress, and helping you understand what it is that you want to do within a company or within a role that you're in, and exploring the opportunities for progression.
Amazing. Awesome. Thank you so much, Maya and James, for those. I mean, engagement is so important. And as Maya was saying, have fun with it. I mean, there's a place for everyone. Be an artist, be what you love, and still find a place in tech is amazing. And then bring that engagement. And once you know what you love and you can find that area, start to engage. And so I just love those words of wisdom and inspiration that you guys have given. So as we transition into our Q&A, we do have some questions. And because we do have quite a bit of questions that can be pretty hefty, I'm just going to ask for like one panelist to jump in on there. I might pick on one or two of you if I feel like it's appropriate, but feel free to share out. I know there was one question that was answered. James, thank you for your response to this one about, what tips can you provide for how to improve your networking skills? And James, I love your answer about, those hubs and tech discussions and LinkedIn. Maya, I actually wanted to pick on you for this one because you are an Irwood Scholar, and as a, not aging anyone, but being the closest to a graduate, right, or an undergrad and a high school student, which most of our participants are, how did you start to work on that networking and like coming out of your shell? I know I've had a lot of shy students who kind of sit in the back of the classroom, don't raise their hand too often. What advice would you give for those students to kind of burst out and, start to use those networking skills and build that confidence?
I would say I'm not like the most extroverted person either. So I can definitely understand that it's very hard to network. I would say, well, my trick is that I would go to the back of the career fair where, the companies are smaller and there's not a lot of students there. And I would start talking to the recruiters first, just to warm myself up and, talk, there's not only recruiters, but there's also software engineers or data scientists or product managers. Like there's a variety of people. So you can just talk to anyone who you're interested in and just kind of warm yourself up, and then transition yourself to the front of the career fair where there's bigger tech companies such as Microsoft, Google, the big names. And it's just a lot of practice. I remember going to my first career fair. I was so intimidated. I asked my career fair officer to, walk with me over to career fair. but then eventually I was going to those career fair by myself, going to like educational career fair, or business career fair, and just start talking around and learning from the people that you meet, and just be patient with yourself, and eventually with practice you'll be okay.
I love that. Thank you so much, Maya. I love how you even started with, asking someone to come with you. And that could be a great first step for someone to break out of that shell. So we have another question in our Q&A box, and then I'm going to head over to the chat. But in our Q&A box, we have, what programming language would be most practical to learn in high school and or college that would be helpful in various fields that students may be considering? And this is for anyone on the panel if you have any insights or want to jump in that one.
Yeah, for me, I've only worked at HB Studios and my focus is more narrow. And so I know what skills or what languages that we look for, and that's C# and C++. And so beyond that, I'm not sure across all the different platforms and different technologies out there, if you were to pick a couple that are the most consistent across the widest range. But if any other panelist has an idea on that, but the first thing I would also do is go to Google and go to these places that I just recommended in terms of technical hubs, and ask these types of questions, and you'll get a variety of different answers from people in different sectors, and you can do with that information kind of what you choose. I don't think there is any silver bullet there. It's guided by your interests and area that you're maybe looking to pursue, would be how I would answer that question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll just add to what James said. I think he brought up a really good point. I think I don't have a specific recommendation, but what I would recommend or suggest is go to the job boards of the Googles and the Facebooks of the world and scan through all of the different types of product management and engineering jobs. And they'll state in the job requirements, like, we're looking for this person with this type of skills. And you'll start to see common themes. Maybe it's C++, or maybe it's Java, it's whatever it is. And so I think that's a really good starting point, because you'll see things emerge as common denominators across these jobs.
Great, thanks for that. And next to that, about reputable platforms, like where can high school students kind of on their level take courses in technology fields? Is there anything or that you guys know of that will allow high school students to begin to take some technology courses?
Mai, you got anything there? It's I don't have an answer for that one.
So I would say look up Google's programs. I know that lately they've been releasing a lot of certification programs, and they'll help you, or they'll teach you through like the data science process, or the product management process, or software engineering process. And from what I've heard, they tend to also hire you if you completed their certification as well. So there's a lot of certification programs out there, not only from Google, but I'm pretty sure like other big tech companies such as Microsoft are launching these kind of programs. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you for that. I'm going to keep the questions going in here. How do technology companies keep up with these cutting edge innovations in the technology industry when things change almost every day? How do people in these fields adjust accordingly to the rapidly changing times we live in? Another crystal ball question.
I don't mind jumping in. So for us, for one, we have a chief technical officer. So part of his job is to stay up to date on current technologies and looking, with our products and our vision for the future in mind, where are the opportunities for us to explore new tech and new ways of doing our business. I think we take we try to take a calculated approach when evaluating new tools or tech, because there's so much out there that you can lose a lot of time and money constantly chasing the next thing that's out there. And so figuring out what's right for your company, what's right for the workflows you have, the people that you have, whether you're all in the same place or remote, and it all depends. And so doing small tests at the right time, and having some people dedicated to that role is important. But ultimately, people within our teams who are area experts are maintaining connection with other people in that field or in that area of expertise, and they talk on forums and on these other places of general discussion, and they're talking about these technologies and what they're suitable for and where their shortcomings are. And so the team helped bring that information back to our studio, and we distill it and talk about how to apply it. So there's sort of several ways that we go about evaluating potential changes or improvements and tech, because it's changing too quickly. You can't just try to always stay on the cusp. It's what's the right fit, what's the right tool for the job you're trying to do at the time.
Thanks for that. That's a good perspective to change that lens from staying on the edge to really finding the right fit and really continuing to move with that. Love that. Go ahead, Mai. Did you have something to add?
Yeah, I just want to go back to Sherry's point of always have the ambition to learn and be a problem solver. I think one of the way companies are tackling, the problem of, trying to keep up is by hiring people who have these skill traits. As part of my job, there's learning hours that's set apart for us to learn and about the new technologies around us, or, within my job itself, we're always on Google searching for the best way to implement or design our project. So having that skill trait to continue to learn and problem solve is really important.
I love that. And Mai, while we're on that, we had another question about, what skills should young people be working on now that would help prepare them for the tech industry, and thinking about that hunger for learning and continuing to be a learner is one of them. Are there some other skills that would be really pertinent for students to start practicing now that would, help them be successful moving into the tech industry?
I'll chime in here. I think they're just general skills that people can improve upon. Like I always accuse engineers for not being good communicators, and it's true. It's a true critique. I think being able to speak well, to articulate well, really gives a strong impression to people, whether it's during interviews or during panel discussions like this or during meetings. I can honestly tell you that when I got my first job out of college, I could barely piece together 2 sentences, and it took me a long time because I was also shy. I was a very shy guy, and I've, reflecting back in my life, I realized that I wish I focused on really being articulate and communicating my thoughts, because it's really a skill to communicate. It really is. And I believe that it will really enhance your career by doing that. And then I go back to the other thing about networking, that's critically important. And the other thing is being very data driven. I said I've hired hundreds of people, whether at Google or other places. And the reality is when I look at resumes, I go through them so quickly because a lot of the resumes just look like job descriptions. That's all they look like. And the best resumes are the ones that have numbers in it. I improved X by 30%, right? And I did Z by reducing costs by 45%. And that really reflects well on the candidate because it really indicates that they are focused on results, right? And then they're also data driven. And you'll hear that a lot with people hiring you. Are you a data-driven person? And the reality is, you have to be very data-driven. You have to understand insights, and you can do that on your own, learning those skills. So I would say communicate, network, and be very data-driven. And in your resumes, let that be reflected, the data-driven mindset. So the more numbers in your resume actually stands out, because the vast majority of resumes I see just are job descriptions, and I just pass through them pretty quickly. Yeah.
Thanks for that. I love how you can see your resume, right? It's not just about what you produce, but how you communicate what you produce, and letting people know that, being able to shine the spotlight on those key areas. So really makes it full circle. Jerry, I think I saw you looking to unmute. Did you want to add anything in there about skills?
Yeah. Again, communication is really good. I think having a lot of people that I've worked with in the past, they lack self-awareness. So you have to be mindful of the people around you, be sensitive to others, be a good listener, because one day you may be in the position to hire people, and you want to be able to help those along, to be better, and to learn things that you learned through your career. But I think seeking a mentor, a lot of people at companies, like everybody here on the panel, if somebody younger asks us for help, we're willing to give that. So you kind of, I always say, if you don't ask, you don't get, right? So if you find somebody, you can ask them questions. You can say, how do I improve? Or maybe I'm shy, what do I need to do? Or I used to get, you're too outspoken. So I was mentored a lot to, be more professional in my answers and my reactions to things. But the soft skills definitely go a long way, because we're not all geniuses. We're not all going to be, doing things that are, solving crazy, problems out there. The soft skills go a long way. And when you show that you're authentic, honest, and also empathetic, people will then, they will accept you faster. They'll empathize with you. They'll give you help. So that's my addition to that.
Thanks, Jerry. I love that, because it also speaks to teamwork, right? And how you are able to collaborate with others. As James said earlier, that problem solving, that doesn't just come from your one brain, right? It comes from a group of brains working together. So to be empathetic, communicate with others, considerate of people, self-aware, those are great tools for just working in a team setting. And that's super imperative. So thank you so much for that. Guys, I'm just going to start giving you guys all some snaps and some sprinkler vibes, because it's such great stuff. And I'm so excited that our students and our educators and our parents who are listening in had the opportunity to hear from all of you guys who are working in this industry successfully and, doing amazing things. So snaps to all of you. And thank you so much for your time during this. I know we had maybe one other question in the Q&A, so I'm going to ask our panelists if you wouldn't mind typing in some quick responses just as we begin to wrap up. Again, thank you guys so much for being here. I mean, so many nuggets of information that I feel like our students have a great launching point to start really investigating, researching, and digging in on their own. So thank you guys so much for this. Thank you to all of our participants. All of your questions, all of your comments really help to create this live event and make it responsive to your needs. So we're super excited that all of you were able to join us today. I know there's a million things you could be doing on a Wednesday evening, so we are grateful that you chose to be here with us. So as we are closing out, I just want to encourage everyone to continue to look out for these resources. Again, this has been recorded, so we're going to share it on our YouTube page. So keep a lookout for that. Watch it again, get those nuggets of information that you might have missed, and also share it with your colleagues and friends really allow others to impart on this with you and share this knowledge moving forward. Also, for our families, our educators, and our students, we have some great resources that Denise has been putting into the chat. One is on our TGR Foundation website, which gives you an opportunity to explore all the things that we're doing as a foundation. But also TGR EDU Explore allows you to find some college access as well as STEM modules, lesson plans, and more that you guys can look through, have conversations as a family, work through as a student, and even explore as a teacher. So there are some bountiful resources on these websites. So we highly encourage that you would and look into those in your own time. Again, thank you guys so much for joining us. We look forward to sending a follow-up email with these resources shared. And again, thank you panelists and thank you for participants. It has been a pleasure to be here with all of you today. So with that being said, have a great evening. Go binge watch some Netflix or something like that. Take a load off, and we hope to see you next time for our next event. Thank you guys so much.